Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for this OpenText webinar, AI taking your automation to the next level. My name is Dylan Roberts, and I'll be hosting the event today. I'm a product marketing manager at OpenText looking after United Functional Test products, and I am delighted to welcome our speaker today, Ayal Cohen. Ayal
Thank you
is a
very much.
director of product management for functional testing. I don't want you to feel too old, but you've been around a couple decades in
Yeah.
the world of test automation. I all seen it all. As the director for OpenText Functional Testing Solution, he leads the next evolution for automated functional testing. He originally started as a quality assurance engineer for Windrunner and Quick Test Professional, and has seen how the industry has evolved over the last couple of decades. IAL has helped hundreds of customers build their test automation suites and improve automation ROI. Before we begin, I want to impress on your minds or encourage you that you can submit questions during our event. To do so, just type your question in the question box below the slides and hit submit. We'll have a Q&A session at the end, and we'll answer as many questions as we are able to at that time. You'll also see a rate this option below the slides, and we encourage you to take part in this at the end of the webinar. Of course, we aim to deliver the best and most relevant content to you, and that's your chance to give us some feedback with a rating and comment. Also note, you can maximize your screen by clicking the double arrow button in the lower right corner of the slides at any time. We do have some videos and screen share in today's webinar, so going full screen might be beneficial to you. And lastly, this is always the most common question. Yes, this webinar is being recorded and will be available to view on demand later today, along with a PDF copy of the slides. So with that said, let's get started. I'll hand the time over to you, Mr. Cohen.
Thank you very much, Dylan, and thank you everyone for joining this webinar. We all see what's going on in the industry in the last, let's say, 8 to 6 months, and it's not only in functional testing, it completely changed the way we're working. And I want to talk about how it actually affects us, how it affects functional testing, how it affects test automation, and what we can do in order to be ahead and actually lead this change in our organization. So before talking of what we have today, I want to talk about the digital transformation that we're seeing in the industry in the last, let's say, 12 months, even more, but we are seeing shift even before AI came into the game. So one thing what we're seeing a lot is the growth of web and mobile. Now it's not new, but it's expanding much more in the last, let's say, 12 months. Every organization, if it's a very, let's say, old traditional organization, of course, new startup and new innovation for sure, but everyone have for sure web, and now also everyone have mobile application. If it's internal in the IT, if it's customer facing. And this is something that, it's not new, but it's evolving very, very fast. The second thing is the hybrid fabric that we are seeing across the world. So if up until like 5, 6 years ago, everything was on-prem, and we start hearing about private cloud or dedicated cloud, or there are many different names. Now we are seeing a huge shift to public cloud. If it's AWS, Google, or there are more, but we are seeing a huge shift. And for big enterprise organization, it's not all or nothing. We'll see the hybrid approach that some of the apps and infrastructure will remain on-prem, some will move to private cloud, and some will move to public, or some kind of configuration between them. And from a function testing perspective, it changed the way we are planning our testing and actually executing this testing afterwards. The third one, the amount of change and deployments and the agility that happens in the world is increasing dramatically. Agile is not new, DevOps is not new, but it's evolving all the time. And we're seeing not only startup, but also enterprise organization moving to what we're calling extreme agile, pushing to production every day, every week, by month or whatever, much more than in the past. And it means that a lot of changes are happening on the application. And from a testing perspective, it changed the way we design the test and the way we need to execute the test afterwards. The next one is the involvement of business analysts or subject matter expert SMEs as part of the testing. So we're seeing a huge shift in the industry in the last year, that the expectation from the business analyst is not only just to define what the application is, actually take an active role in the entire end-to-end process. And it includes defining what's the model of the application, what I want to cover, how to test it, in a lot of time also testing. And because a business analyst not always have a lot of technical skills, for example, writing code and stuff, other things like this, it means that we need to be much more advanced in the technique and solutions that we are providing those subject matter experts as part of the solutions that we're seeing. And the last thing that is happening, and this is something that is happening a lot in the last 6 months, after OpenAI released ChatGPT, it completely changed the look of the industry. So AI and LLM stand for large language model. It's what GPT is based on. It completely changed everything in the industry. We're seeing it. I hope I'm not saying anything new to anyone on this conversation, but besides changing, the day-to-day of, the regular user, it changed the way IT works. It provides so many capabilities and opportunities inside our world, and it also affects what we can do in test automation, what we can do in quality in general. And this is something that we internally are already started working a few months back and evolving, and we want to provide the best solution for you to take advantage of those new technologies. So this is what's happening in large organization in the world. Starting talking about functional testing, we're seeing a lot of challenges in functional testing. Those are the 5 big ones that we're seeing for any customers that we are talking. So every month, I'm personally talking to dozens of different customers, talking not only about what we can provide them, how we can help, start trying to understand what they are facing, what are their challenges. And those are the big 5. For sure, there are more, but those are the big 5 that any big organization is trying to overcome. We're calling it the functional testing wall, because you need to get over it in order to actually have good functional testing and test automation. The first one is test creation barrier. It takes a lot of time to create good test and to create a significant test. Testing and specifically test automation is not a simple record replay. You need to have the infrastructure, the framework, everything around it. It's a methodology that you need to deploy in your organization, and it takes time to build it and to maintain it and to make sure that it works as expected. The second thing is the acquiring the right skills. And I talked a bit about it before, about the business analyst. In today's world, test automation is limited to the amount of people in your organization who knows how to code. And we know that if I'm looking at IT organization only on the QA organization, the amount of people who can code is very limited comparing to the other, people that they have in the QA organization or the business analyst. And currently it's a huge challenge, because if I want to take my automation to the next level, to the next step, I need more people involved, and I need a way to make the less technical people part of the automation effort. The next thing is the insufficient test coverage. If we already have test automation, we already know what we need to test, the environment that we need to test to run our test today is enormous. If it's on web, the different browser on different operation system, different version of the browser, and so on and so forth. And if I'm taking it to mobile, it's even more extreme. If I need now to test a mobile application on iOS or on Android on different machines, if it's Samsung, Google Pixel, or whatever, the amount of environment complexities that I have is enormous. So from one hand, I need to identify I cannot test on everything because every year hundreds of new devices are being released, and each device can have a different version of the operation system. So I need to first define what's my testing metrics, and then I actually need to test it on real device because we all know emulators are not good enough. Managing all the devices, making the device available to anyone in my team, and in today's world that half of the people working from home, half in the office, probably you have different offices across the world, and you need to validate and have the device in all location. It's a huge challenge to make sure that I have the environment that I need actually to run my test. The next one is relentless test maintenance, and this is by far the number one challenge of test automation. Everybody knows that, everyone in the test automation knows that every small change in the application, I need to go back to my existing test and to fix them, edit them. If the developer changed some property of an object, everything changes. I need to go to the test and go back and test and change everything. And with talking about what I said before about the agility of the organizations that we are introducing change a lot, I need always to go back and make sure that my existing test still works as expected. We're seeing in the industry today that about 70% of the time in the test automation team, the team are just maintaining existing tests, which means that they don't have enough time to create new tests, to increase the coverage, to increase the confidence in the quality. And it's a huge barrier that we need to help our customers to overcome. And the last one on those five is the time it takes to actually run the test. If you already have test automation, you have a huge suite. It can be dozens of tests, hundreds of tests, or thousands of tests. Sometimes it takes a lot of time just to run them all on your lab. And if I have thousands of tests and I need to run them on every nightly build that my development have, because we're working agile and every day we're getting a new build to validate my test, and it takes 24 hours just to execute the test, it's not good enough. I need to try to be smarter how I'm executing the test, where I'm executing the test, and how fast I can see the result and understand the status of what being executed. So those are the big five of, in general of test automation. But if I'll take it one level down and look about in the team level, what's the challenges that I'm seeing today in test automation, it's talking about the same area, but from a different level. So the first one is the waste time. We're seeing a lot of waste in the system. And we're seeing, when I'm talking about waste, when I'm talking about test automation, not in development and stuff like or things like that, I'm talking about the time it takes to execute the test, or I'm spending time on executing the wrong things, or because I don't have the right environment, or I have one mobile device and everyone needs to use it, I'm wasting my time waiting for the right environment to be ready for me to use. The second one, I mentioned it before, is lacking the right skills. Only technical people, scripters, can actually today create automation. And with the lack of methodology, the right methodology, I'm very limited of the way and the speed I can move with my automation. The next one is maintenance. As I mentioned, any change in the application makes me go back and update the tests that I have, which means the tests are not resilient enough because they are depending on my application underlying technology. And it's not only that. Sometimes the automation breaks, and I have duplicated tests that I need to manage. There's a lot of tedious maintenance in test automation that takes me a lot of time to overcome. And the last one is the infrastructure overhead, the combination of the different environment, operation system, browser, and mobile supporting. It's not just the availability. If I'm managing my own lab, I need to make sure that always the hardware is up to date and the software is up to date, and the OS have all the security updates and the upgrades are correct, and the patch of my Windows or Linux or .NET or Java or whatever is updated, and I need to make sure that the CI is working correctly. The overhead of just managing the infrastructure is enormous. And we're seeing organizations spending a lot of time just making sure that the lab is ready for executing the test automation. What we're trying to do is help you with that. So in the waste time capability, we want to make sure that you have a on-demand mobile devices and browsers for anything that you want. If it's authoring the test, running the test, manual testing, whatever you want, on demand as fast as possible. As part of our solutions that I'll talk about in a minute, we have smart parallel execution, which means we'll be able to run your test in parallel and provide insight that are AI-based very, very fast for you to get the right result in your hands as fast as possible. Because we know in today automation only technical people, coder can do automation, we want to change this paradigm. So we created a new codeless solution that is based on NLP solution that anyone can create automation. You don't need to understand code anymore. In plain English, you can create automation, which means manual tester can create automation, business user can create automation, anyone can actually do that. And beside the codeless solution, we have a built-in model-based testing solution that the business analyst can define in a very easy canvas to define what need to be tested even before the automation starts. With the tedious test automation, this is something that we invest in the last 3 years a lot. And instead of relying on the underlying technology that makes the test not resilient enough to application changes, we invest a lot and continue investing in our AI object detection solution that doesn't use the technology that the application are using anymore. So we don't care about the underlying technology. We are working on your application the same way a human does, which means we don't care if something broke behind the scenes or changed behind the scenes. We are looking at the application and identifying using a very strong AR-based computer vision, and I'll show it to you in a minute. And regarding the infrastructure, instead of you managing your lab, managing your environment, and it's a huge hassle, and we know it, we now provide you a SaaS self-based solution to execute the test. So you'll be able to execute all our tests on our cloud in parallel, very, very fast execution in order for you to get the results that you want as fast as possible. Looking at all of that, I want to present you the solutions that we have, which is AI-based, to make sure that you know how we are helping you to take your test automation to the next level. So we released last year our ValueEdge platform. Our ValueEdge platform is an AI-powered DevOps and value stream platform. It's an open, integrated enterprise software delivery platform for the entire delivery process, not only for functional testing or testing. So starting with plan, build, test, deliver, and run, you have one platform to do everything that you want. Starting with from strategy, defining from the business level what needs to be developed. The actual development can be managed in a ValueEdge Agile solution to be able to manage the Agile process end-to-end, helping managing the entire quality process. If it's getting the results from your unit testing through your CI, managing the defect, managing the quality stories, managing the automated everything in one place. We have the functional testing parts that I'm going to talk about in a minute. We are integrated into this entire solution platform, also a performance solution. If you know Load Runner Cloud, Load Runner Enterprise, it's part of our ValueEdge platform. And we have, of course, release and operation in order to have the full flexibility. The ValueEdge platform provides visibility in AI-powered insight across the entire delivery process. And we have the service level over here that provide the basic for our platform. It's an open cloud-based platform with a lot of integration. We have the integration layer over here to connect to anything that you have in the ecosystem. We know that every organization has some other solution. We know that we are not coming to replace everything that you have, but we'll integrate in order to make sure that we are providing a one place that everything comes together to provide a full solution. Now, the ValueEdge is a modular platform. It's not all or nothing. You can start with one or two and then expand. So if you want to start just with functional testing, you can. Just with Agile, you can. Whatever you want. Now I'm going to talk about functional testing because this is the focus of what we have right now. So inside functional testing, we have 5 different areas that we developed a lot. If it's design, model-based testing, digital lab, execution, and AI object detection SaaS. And this is what I want to show you today. So our ValueEdge functional test is a one-stop shop solution for everything you need around functional testing. It enables anyone to easily test anything on any platform from anywhere. And you can see on the left the 5 different areas that we have inside ValueEdge functional test. If it's model-based testing, design, execution, digital lab, and AI, and I'll explain each one what it is before I actually show you how it is. But besides that far, we have, we build it on top of our AI model, so we have an actionable AI-based insight to make sure that it's not just that you're working right. We'll help you take advantage of everything that we have and provide you the best solutions that you'll be more effective in your testing, in your quality process to make sure that your application is in the best quality possible. Now, if you're already an existing customer of us, of UFT1 or UFT Developer or UFT Mobile that is now called UFT Digital Lab, this actually doesn't come to replace it. It extends this capability. So you can take your existing asset and run them on the cloud, or use your existing UFT1 action, use it inside our model-based testing, and I'll show everything that I mentioned in a minute, but it doesn't mean that you need to start from scratch. You can continue using our other solution, and it integrates directly into this solution. So our ValueEdge functional testing is a complete solution, AI-powered. It's cloud-based, it's SaaS only, it's not on-prem. So it's a SaaS solution that provides codeless test authoring, model-based testing, digital lab for mobile and web, and cloud test execution. It helps you run, your test in the best way possible. And again, it's something, the ValueEdge functional testing that we released only this year, at the beginning of the year, and we are evolving it very, very much. We got many customers already trying it and using it, and we had many requests to take it even to the next level. So what's MBT? MBT, model-based testing, is a methodology that we didn't invent it. It's an old one in the market, but we took it and embedded it as part of our solution. It's the way it enables you to model your application from start to end to make sure that when you're creating the test, deciding which test to execute, or running the test, you have a full understanding how those tests is related to the model, which means how it covers the actual application, which means it helps you align the functional testing to the business requirement. And because the model-based testing is being done on a very easy drag-and-drop Kanban, it's a great place where the business analyst and the QA can work together to make sure that the definition of the application, what is the application, what needs to be tested, is very easy to use, and everybody's talking in the same language. The second part is the design. As I mentioned, this is a completely new solution, a codeless test design. that provide an easy to use editor for the less technical people to create automation in pure English. It's SaaS-based, it's web, so you don't need to install anything. It's very easy to understand and very easy to use, and you can actually create automation in a very simple language, and this is how it looks. And you'll see it in the demo in a minute, but it's, as you can see over here, it's pure English. It's a true codeless script. It means we don't have code that define the properties behind the scene. What you see is what you get. This is the test. This is the English the test. We are not, packaging behind the scene anything. It's a true codeless solution. It uses our AI object detection technology to identify the right element on the screen. As I mentioned before, we don't care about the technology behind the scene. We don't care about your DOM or different divs or elements that you have. We are looking at the screen the same way a human does and creating automation based on it. And as you can see, it's a very easy to understand English level that anyone can actually read and understand it. So if a business analyst, manual tester will look at it, he will know exactly what it is and how it works. The next part is execution. We are providing for the first time a full cloud-based execution. So we'll take your test and run them on our cloud solution. If it's your UFT1 test, if it's the MBT test that I just talked about, MBT is model-based testing. If it's the codeless test, all your tests will run them as a service on the cloud and provide you result directly inside the platform. We have our AI object detection. I don't know if you know it already. It's not only the AI object detection is not only for the new solution. It's always also part of UFT1 and UFT developer, not the SaaS part of it, the AI object detection, which actually help you be more productive. It reduces the maintenance cost because any changes on the technology, we don't care about it. It increased the automation coverage because you can now spend more time on creating automation because you don't need to go back and maintain your existing effort. Because we took our AI to our SaaS solution, we dramatically improved the performance and accuracy of the test because in order to use, our AI is based on computer vision, and computer vision need very strong machines. So if you are using it to try it on UFT1, if you didn't install it on a very powerful machine with a lot of GPU and CPUs, the AI performance is very poor. The moment we took it to our cloud environment, we put it on a very, very powerful infrastructure. So the AI works very, very fast, which means we completely improve the performance of the AI overall that we have. Because it's on our clouds, the model is always up to date. We can easily make sure that you're working on the latest one, so you don't need, the hassle of the on-prem solutions that you need to install the latest model and so on and so forth. As a service, you don't need to hassle anymore. And as I mentioned before, because we took it as a service, you don't need a dedicated, very expensive hardware. It's part of the solutions that we have. Now, the AI object detection SaaS, yes, it's part of ValueEdge functional test that I'm talking about, but even if you don't have ValueEdge functional test and you have UFT1, you can connect from the UFT1 to the AI SaaS service in order to improve performance as well. So it's not only for our new ValueEdge solution, it's actually also for our on-premise UFT1 solution, because we want to make sure that all our customers get the latest and greatest as fast as possible. And the last part of our ValueEdge functional test is our digital lab. If you knew our old solution, which was UFT mobile, now it's digital lab because it's not only mobile, it's for browser as well. So the digital lab provides you an easy access to mobile devices and browser as a service. If I'm talking about browser, I'm talking about browsers that we host on our cloud. If I'm talking about mobile device, we are very flexible of which mobile device you can use. It can be your own device that you connect to the solution. the device can be located in wherever you want in the world. So let's say you have 10 devices, and in each of your 5 offices, in total you have 50 devices. Now your entire organization can access all the 50 devices from our solution, and can be devices that will host. So we have an option to host a dedicated, private, fully secure 24/7 for you, truly private device for you. It's an option that we have. Or we have also public devices. So we have a pool of public devices. So if you want to validate your solution for like an hour on a specific device that you don't have, you can just do it as well. So this is it. This is the five areas that we have, and we build it to solve the challenges that I've talked before: the test creation barrier, the right skills, the test coverage, the maintainability challenge that we have, and the test execution. So when we've built ValueEdge functional test, we look at the big challenges that we're seeing in the market and trying to provide you the right solution in order to make you more productivity and provide you the best solution to solve your challenges in the market. Now, I think I talked enough. Let's see actually in the demo how it looks. So I'll start with the design. So what you're seeing over here, this is ValueEdge. So if I'll open the global menu, this is all the modules that I've talked about before. So you can see here the insight, portfolio strategy, agile, quality, functional testing, performance testing, risk, everything in one place. This is the power of the platform. Everything is connected. You might not have everything. Some of them will not, probably if you didn't buy them, will not be active. But in general, you have one place for everything together. So over here, I'll open the functional test, and you can see everything that we have, starting with the design. So this is how the design look. What I'll do right now, I'll create a new test. So we have the inspect option over here. The inspect is where I'm actually going using our AI to create the test using our AI object detection. So what I'm seeing over here, the AI identify all the elements on the screen like a human does. We don't care about the technology behind the scene. And now I can easily create steps directly from the inspect window. So I can go create my script with a very simple click to understand what's going on. After every step, the test go to the second level and everything is working. So as you can see, the AI identify everything on the screen, very, very simple, and I can easily add all my steps to the screen. Now, up until now, I actually used a live application, but a lot of the times I want to actually start creating my automation even before the application is ready. Something that in traditional automation cannot be done because I need to actually understand the object and the properties to do that. Over here, because we don't care about the properties and the underlying technology, we can use mockup to create automation. So I can open an image, and when I open the image, I can actually, the AI will work exactly the same, and I can create my automation directly from my mockups. So I create my test, my automation, even before the application is ready. And when the application is ready, the only things that I need is just to run the test. Now, this is a very professional mockup that was created by a professional tool, but this is not always the case. Sometimes mockup are created in PowerPoint or Sketches, and you know what? You can do it as well over here. So even if your mockup looks like this, you can actually create automation exactly. You can see our AI identify everything over here, and you can create automation for mockups. So you can actually start the automation process much earlier in the solutions that you have. So after I create my test, this is what I've got. Very, very easy to understand English, and you can see every step that I have, and I can run the test and look at it and actually use it. And I don't need to use the inspect. I can actually go and type, because at the end of the day, what the inspect does, the AI just write the script. I can just type it down over here, and it will work because I don't care about the technology behind the scene. So what I'll do right now, after I have my script, I can go and I'll run it on different environments. So I can choose Chrome and Firefox in this example, and I'll execute the test on those two different environments. It will do it one after the other because I want to show you how it works. So as you can see, the AI work, identify all the objects, run. Let's give it a minute to actually end. So this is Firefox. When it ends, it will, sorry, that would Chrome, it end, it open Firefox. I'm running exactly the same test on Firefox. And it will end. I'll go back to my design and I can see those two tests passed. I can look at the result and I can see all the steps. For every step, I have a screenshot. I understand everything that go on. And as you can see, very easy to create, very easy to understand, very easy to execute. I can go back now after I created it. I can save the test. And I will associate it to a new test. As you can see over here, I can associate it to a new test or a new codeless unit. A unit is a building block that I'm using in MBT. So when I'm doing it, I need to define, is it a test or a unit? Because I need to know how I want to associate and use it. So the moment I have it, I have the test ready, and I can go back to ValueEdge and actually see this test inside my system. So that was design. Let's see how MBT looks. So again, I'll go to the menu, go to MBT, model-based testing, and over here, I will create a new model. Now, it's very simple to create a model. You just create it. You're getting an empty canvas, Kanban. You can see on the left side all the units that you can use. Those are existing units that we already have in the system. If I don't, I can create a placeholder and define the unit later on. Very, very simple drag and drop. I can see it's very easy to create a unit and to identify a very simple flow. And again, this is a very simple one. Let's go to a one which a bit more complex. So over here, you can see an existing flow that I have. It can contain other models. So you can see it can say model inside the model to have the flexibility and reusability across the system. So I can see everything in one place. And after that, all the units that I have provide me a full understanding of the flow that I have in the system. Now, the next step after I have the model is to see all the different paths that I can go through in the system. So I'll go to the path, and I can see that in this specific module, I have many paths. I can see at the bottom 256 paths. I can choose each path over here and see on the right side the flow that it goes for each one of them. So because I don't want now to run on all the 256 paths, we have a very smart strategy capability inside in order to reduce the amount of paths that I can see on the model. So what you see, the 256 is the full coverage path. I can go to a sanity path that will just go make sure that I'm passing each unit at least once. I have different strategies over here. And it's related also to the agile process. So I can choose all the paths that are covered by a specific agile process that I have, or all the paths that recently failed. So I have a very different way in order to reduce the size. And the moment that I move to sanity strategy, I can see that I have only 4 paths. That I mean, in this enormous model, I only need 4 tests to make sure that in the sanity level, all the units are covered. Yes, with those 4, I'm not covering all the different paths on the model, but at least I can be sure that every unit is being tested one. Now, if it's not good enough, I can actually draw my own path on the system. So I can easily go define which path I want to cover. I can hover on each unit to understand what it is and go into it if I want. And the moment I finish it, what I can actually see, I can get a new path and generate a test directly from this path. So the moment I have a path, I can give this path, this test a name. Very simple one over here. I'll generate, and what's happened over here, I automatically generated the test. Now let's generate a few more tests of different paths that I have over here. It's very simple to generate. I'm just selecting the path and the automated test is being generated. And if I go to the test, I'll see my 4 tests that I just generate. The 3 one that I added from the sanity coverage and the draw path that I manually created. After I have my MBT, I can go and start executing my test. So over here, I'll go to the execution part of functional test. And over here, what I'll do, I'll create a new schedule to execute my test. I can see all the tests that I have over here. I will select all of them, create a test suite for them, one test suite that will combine all the tests that I have. I will choose, because the test will be executed on our cloud, I'll choose on which environment I want to run them. And over here, I can choose how much parallel execution I want to have. Sometimes I want to limit myself because I don't want that the specific test suite will use too much of my machines in the cloud. Again, it's all configurable and every customer can do whatever he wants. So the moment I have the test suite, what I'll do right now, I can actually look at the test and I can run them, or I can go and create a schedule to run them every night, every build, every day, whatever I want. So what I'll do right now, I'll create a schedule, let's say nightly schedule. I'll connect it to the release, and I'll say starting a specific day, I'll run this schedule every day, every night. Okay, I'll choose which test I want to associate with this schedule. I'll choose the test suite that I just created 2 minutes ago. And now everything is ready. I can go to the schedule run and understand what's going on in the system. So over here, I can see all the schedules that is planned, and I can go and see the entire schedule that I have in the system. So I can see over here what is planned in the future, which task is currently running, what was skipped from, maybe the test wasn't ready, it wasn't associated correctly. There are many reasons to skip a test, and what was completed with the status. So I have one simple place to understand all my automation, where it is, what's the status, and I can take any planned schedule and run it now and to understand the full end-to-end process that I have. So this is a very comprehensive schedule view to understand what's going on in the system. I can go to an existing test that I have that were executed before, go to the test, understand what's going on in the test, go to a specific test automation, and if I want, I can actually take and from within the platform, actually go and open the actual result. So over here, it's a UFT test. I can go open it and get the UFT report directly from the system. So from one place, I can see how everything goes together. The last point that I want to see is the digital lab. The digital lab is the last part of our ValueEdge functional test. So I'll go over here, go to the digital lab. And as I mentioned before, this is one place to see what I have to execute the test. So over here, I can see all the devices that I have in the system. The devices can be located anywhere in the world in our, private lab, public lab, you're hosting it, whatever is available for you. So you can see all the tests that can be used for manual testing, automated testing. I can even go inside a specific device, which is an actually device sitting somewhere in the world, and do my test. I can use it to do my manual test, exploratory testing, check everything that is working. Sorry. The developer can actually connect also to the lab. So if you have an issue, you find a defect in your application on a specific device, you can tell your developer, log into the system. You can easily understand the issue and try to debug it. So the developer can connect from their IDE to the digital lab to debug the system. Very, very easy to do that. I can see all the systems that I have and all the capabilities that I have. And this is just the device lab. I have also the browser lab. Over here, I can see all the different version of the browsers that I have on different environment, different version of each browser. And so I can see everything that I can run my test automation. And if I'm using Selenium, we actually gave you a snipping code so you can choose a specific device, specific browser, choose the language of your Selenium script, and in order to that your Selenium will actually connect to this browser, this is the code that you need to take and add it to your Selenium. If you're using UFT1, you don't need this code, it's built in the system. So from UFT1, you can easily connect to the digital lab and work with it and actually connect everything together. So this is it. This is the full end-to-end of ValueEdge functional test. It's powered by a lot of AI behind the scene. If it's the AI object detections that I showed you in Codeless, as I mentioned, it's not only in the Codeless design, it's inside UFT1 and UFT developer. Is it the AIs that we're using inside our execution with a smart strategy and with MBT building the path? There is a lot of power behind it and provide you a great solution for the entire functional testing atmospheres that you might have. This is it. Dylan, are you still with me?
Yes, excellent. Thank
Cool.
you so much for that. A lot of questions have come
Good.
in during the demo.
Good.
Let me ask this first one because it was asked multiple times.
Okay.
Does this replace my current UFT solution? This must come from someone who already is using UFT, but we got that question asked in a few different ways. Does this replace what UFT already has?
So the answer is no. Okay. This extends the UFT1 and UFT developer capabilities. If you're creating test automation UFT, you can continue doing that, but you can take advantage of ValueEdge functional tests. So you can execute your test on a cloud. So currently you probably run them on your lab. And if you're doing that, you know how difficult it is to manage the lab. As I mentioned before, you can take the test, run them on our cloud. So it will save you a lot of hardware and management activities and resources. Second, you can use your UFT1. When I showed model-based testing, you saw the units on the left side. Those are actually UFT1 action. So you can reuse your existing UFT1 action as units in model-based testing. So if you have a lot of reusable action inside your UFT1, you can use them in model-based testing to create the model in order to create more flexibility around the clock. So the answer is no, it doesn't replace, it extends it. And now, if you have people in your organizations that couldn't use UFT1 because they didn't know how to code, they can start taking advantage of the codeless solution to create test automation and combine everything in one execution.
Okay, excellent. Here's another one. Just asking you if you could expound on how using the AI object detection actually makes the test more resilient.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I showed, our AI technology means that we are looking at your application the same way a human does. Meaning, if what happens in web, it happens a lot. Could sometimes developer change like the div off in the DOM or some backend properties that doesn't affect the UI, but will break any automation, no matter which tool you're using. The moment where we don't care about the underlying technology, we're removing a lot of this hassle. So your test will be much, much more resilience, to be much more, power, and you don't need to go back to your old test for any small change that the developer did in the backend because something changed in the DOM and the properties. Actually, they will continue working if the UI didn't change.
And how would that AI perform, say, in like a hybrid environment? Is it the same technology for Android, iOS, PC? Is it the
Actually,
same?
it's a great. Actually, it's a great question because I should have talked about it before and I forgot about it. Because we don't care about the technology, you can create one test that can run on web, Android, and iOS. Because we don't care about that one is Java, one is something else, and we don't care about it. So if the flow looks the same on the different environment, one test will cover it. Okay, you don't need to replace object and stuff like this. So you can create one test for Android and iOS or for web or different webs and stuff like this. So actually it will save you time because you need to create less tests to cover the same flow or different technologies, different environments. Sorry.
Okay. That's similar to this next question is because that asked like, is there any framework which would be more favorable to AI? But it sounds like it's the same.
So we don't care about the underlying technology. Currently, our AI object detection work on web. We don't care which web, mobile, and SAP. We're always extending it. So if you now have a .NET desktop application, it doesn't work, it will work in the near future. So currently our AI object detection work on web, we don't care which framework behind the scene you're working. Mobile, we don't care which framework you're working behind the scene. And SAP, web and GUI. So if you're working on SAP GUI, it will work as well.
Excellent. Um, so this next one, it asks like, how exactly can you enable the AI from UFT1?
So again, in the setting, you can do that. The easiest way to learn how, Google UFT1 with AI, you'll get directly to our help center. Over there, you have a lot of explanation how to do that. AI was introduced inside UFT1, I think in version 2021, maybe even 15. So the last 2 years, I don't know I don't know who asked it and from which version, but for sure, if you are from UFT 1 2021 and above, it will work. Currently, we are on UFT 1 2023 already. And if you have it, because we are always improving our AI, I recommend upgrade to the latest version, move to UFT 1 2023, because the AI there is completely, it's a revolutionary comparing to the previous version.
Excellent. This next question about digital lab.
Yeah.
How is the lab different from using emulators, or what's changed with the emulators?
So I didn't show it, but inside Digital Lab, you can also have emulator and simulator for iOS and Android. So we do support emulator and simulator inside our environment, so we have one place for everything. And if you're doing mobile testing for a long time, you know that testing on an emulator and testing on the real device is completely different. A lot of things work on an emulator, and when you're taking it to a real device, it doesn't work. If it's because of the mobile different perspective, if it's Bluetooth or NFC or a different internet, if it's Wi-Fi, pure LTE, 5G, it completely changed everything. And it's not only emulator or mobile device, different mobile device. If you have a mobile app and you're testing only on emulator, from my experience, maybe you have a different one, it's not good enough. Okay, because the moment you're actually moving to a real device, something might break. So if it's okay to use emulator, but try to combine between real device and emulator, and our digital lab support emulator and simulator as well.
All right. This next one about codeless. Is it possible to use data parameters when
Yes, I
creating
didn't show it.
codeless tests?
Yes, we have parameters inside it. Again, I need to. I went very fast on the solution. We support parameters for sure. Otherwise, you cannot create a test automation. We know that. My suggestion is if you're already an existing customer, reach out to our sales, get an evaluation on VEFT, and just play with it. And sorry, ValueEdge functional test. I'm using our internal shortcuts. So get an evaluation of ValueEdge functional test and play with it and look how easy it and comfortable to use.
Okay. Um, God, you may have already answered this one. Does the AI object detection work only for web browser-based application, or does it work for desktop-based applications too?
So I answered it's currently web, mobile, and SAP GUI, and we are always adding more and more and more solutions that is needed. Desktop application, actually, we have it in a technical preview because it's not ready yet, but we're adding all the time different solution. Now, just to explain, from one hand, I said we don't care about the technology. From other hand, I'm saying we care about the technology. And the reason it's not that it's not working on that on .NET. What did the question was? .NET is we need to train our AI model, something that we're doing 24/7, or different how application looks. An application on .NET or Java looks completely different from web and mobile and SAP. So until we'll have enough training on real desktop Java .NET based application, the AI will work, but not good enough. This is why we want to wait until we are improving our AI, training it. It's something that we're doing 24/7. The moment we'll feel comfortable enough that the AI is good enough, we'll release it in production.
Okay. Probably have time just for one more question. This one asks, is it possible to run a test which involves two user interactions at the same time? And as an example, like a two-player game.
It's possible, but you need to manage it from your part because we are not familiar from your game. So you need to manage the synchronization or asynchronization between the tests by yourself. We will not know when to move. If you manage it by yourself, we can actually do that in parallel.
All right. Well, excellent. Thanks so much, Ayal, to you, and thanks so much for the people who've participated today. That's probably all the time we
Thanks, Ron.
have for questions. If we weren't able to get to your question today, we'll try to respond directly via email. And please note, just a reminder, a replay of today's event and a PDF copy of the slides will be available on demand shortly after we end. And of course, we invite you to share those with your colleagues. And also, we encourage you to leave feedback via the Rate This tab below the slides, letting us know what you thought of today's webinar. Thanks so much to our audience today. This
Thank you very much.
concludes our event. Have a great day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dylan.